They also, at the same time, they'll crimp around the top a small amount. If you're loading pistols, they have another third die which does the crimping for you. Turn it around. New casing, bullet, completed bullet. Boom, falls in. Completed bullet. Completed bullet. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple little things here on the bench. If you're using the other type of press, when you want to clean, you've knocked your primer out, you have a reamer here that reams the pocket. You ream it out, you clean it. You might need a tool like this to scrape any debris. You also have a tool like this, which is a pointed thing. Squeeze, make sure it goes down through. Make sure that that hole is cleared completely out. After you've done all that, you can go over here. Just put the casing in like that, and this particular one is not set up. This is set up for an alt 6. You'd come in, this goes in like that, and it makes the length of the case precise. Okay. After you've loaded a couple, you can take your calipers. This is a special caliper setup that holds on that particular size of the bullet, right, every time. And so you hold the bullet in the same position every single time. That shows you exactly the overall length of that case to that particular dimension. Type of press, when you run out of primers, sounds an alarm. So you reach over here, you take one of these tubes, you put it on the top of the press, you pull the pin out, your primers feed down into your tube here, you put the back on top, sit that back in here. So your empty tube, you have to reload it. So you walk over to this unit here, you pour some primers into this. It's made of brass, so it will not spark. You push down on it, and the primer goes up inside of here. Make an empty one. And the beauty of this little piece of equipment is the simplicity. When you pour your primers in, you're going to have some upside down, some right side up. So you'll do the right side up ones, then you take the little piece of brass and just flip it over like that, and you're ready to do your other ones. And you're all ready for next time. You have other pieces of equipment for measuring depth. You have a great deal of different kinds of equipment that goes along with it. It makes the job easier and more precise. Okay, this is the more common type of press that you're going to come across. It's a single stage press where it does only one bullet at a time rather than 3 or 4 as the Dillon did. In this press, we haven't got dies in it yet right now, but it'll show you. You put the casing in, it goes up, it punches the primer out just like the Dillon did in the first step. You come down, you take the case out, you put it in your holder over here. You would do the same thing to all your cases. One thing I didn't tell you on the Dillon is you have to put a grease over top the casing or else it will stick in the die. Okay, now that you've already taken your primers out, if this was military brass, you'd have to use a tool like this or else use a reaming tool. This lays it down, you make this motion here, it expands the cartridge base so that you can put the new type primers in it. Okay, on this one here, when you got all your primers out, you come to your next step, you'd come in, you'd raise it up, swing your arm around like that, push the little button and it puts a primer in, or if you don't have a press like this, you just put a primer on top. You slide that back down, you put your bullet in it, again it seats your primer. And then, if you have a press like this, you can take the old, this is another old style of powder horn, the old standby. You can, this one here mounts on the press, a lot of them, they just mount it on the bench somewhere. That gives you a precise measurement of powder. And then on this press you would just turn it like that and you'd have your finishing die here. You'd go up through, just before it enters the press you'd put your bullet on it, plump, you do it. So it takes you 3 to 4 steps on every single bullet instead of just one pull of the handle. Next to it here is the old shotgun press. The old shotgun press, You take one bullet, slide her in, you go down, takes the primer out in the first step. Second step, puts a new primer in. Third step, you blow down, you go that way, puts the powder in. You come back up, you put a wad in it, push her back down, go that way, that puts the shot in it. Goes up, you put her over here and it puts a pre-crimp. Slide her over here and that puts the final crimp. So a shotgun press is identical to a regular rifle press, except you just do it in a circle in a manner like this, unless you have a progressive press made for shotgun shells.
As you saw a moment ago with the M15 series of Israeli mask as part of the safety and security devices, the M15, which is one of the more common Israeli or foreign military masks available, as is demonstrated here, comes virtually new in the container, and as we stated before, the triangular eyepieces, the addition of a voice emitter, and also a drinking port are key to identifying the M15 itself. As a basis for demonstrating the other systems, the Israeli civil defense mask can be compared in size and scale to be a comparable mask for personal defense without some of the more intricate features available. Note the round, flat plate glass for the eyes, the absence of a voice emitter, and of course still the same basic connection for what is a standard NATO filter across the board. As with the M15 mask, the individual filter is stored inside a carrying device along with the test system as we demonstrated for training purposes. The filter, in this case, yes ladies and gentlemen, in German, is of course standard for both NATO and the modern US gas masks. These filters have not been compromised and should be left sealed for as long as possible until